One, two, 1, 2. One, two, 1, 2, in the place to be. Let's get to some music first, y'all. A little bit. Check in YouTube land. Y'all can hear me. Yeah, y'all can hear me now. Yeah. I just wanna let's start with some music before we, you know what I mean? Let's get some music going before we get busy. That's a hot track.
Empire. Every bar. Empire. Every bar. They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. When the suckers gather round, it's about that time. Lil Lex trying to flex, you done lost your mind. Heard Judah was a shooter in them Cleveland streets. In the Sarcade. Boy, better beat your feet. Let's get it first, you got dirty works. Caught in a scam trying to cheat the church. That preacher tried to kill him, it's a well-known fact. That's when he started saying, Kimmit is black. Next thing you know, he popped up in Atlanta with a homeless dude trying to give him banana. Shocked to us all, you was caught on live. He said, it had to hurt your pride. Right afterwards, you tried to diss the elder. Yeah, the incident with Sinetta. Your lawsuit didn't go according to plan. Then you tried to get him with an internet ban. Heard Rob Bourne slammed you and then you ran. No wonder Lex doesn't have a leg to stand on. They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. Judah, you next with the Torah Knights. Sissy boys tugging on each other's pipes. Nah, that's not it. How you black power chilling with a Chinese chick? Ran out of Cleveland by gangsters, man. Next thing you know, we popped up in Japan. Thinking that he's strong, trying to flex all night. Buy the right size shirt, boy, your chest look tight. Took an L trying to battle me in a debate. That's probably the reason why I left the States. Or could you be embarrassed about chasing Dookie when the demon whispered to you, give me some boy coochie. Lightning might strike this song because you and White Maggie watching boy porn. He'll deny it like a couple years ago. Hey yo, Yara, you still got that video? They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kimmit to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. He'll come back, only in a rerun. Yo, don't be dissing Saber Reggie. Don't be dissing Daniel Heru or Smash Rockwell. That's the rap god, silly. That's stupid. That's the rap god. Oh.
Yo. What's up, y'all? What's good, YouTube streets? It's time, man. It's time to go in a little bit. I got a few hours before I gotta hop in the truck, so I said, what? What? Oh, my man just hit me on the he said, play it again. We're gonna let it play one more time. Let's new music, music, music. Asarim Khan, the chemist strike back. Judy and Alexis, let's go.
Asar M. Ka, every bar. They mad cause we proving Egypt black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Take your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. When the suckers gather round, it's about that time. Lil Lex trying to flex, you done lost your mind. Heard Judah was a shooter in them Cleveland streets. In the Sarkane. Boy, better beat your feet. Let's get it first, you got dirty works. Caught in a scam trying to cheat the church. That preacher tried to kill him, it's a well-known fact. That's when he started saying, Kemet is black. Next thing you know, he popped up in Atlanta with a homeless dude trying to give him banana. Shocked to us all, you was caught on live. He said, it had to hurt your pride. Right afterwards, you tried to diss the elder. Yeah, the incident with Sinetta. Your lawsuit didn't go according to plan. Then you tried to get him with an internet ban. Heard Rob Bourne slammed you and then you ran. No wonder Lex doesn't have a leg to stand on. They mad cause we proving Egypt black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. They mad cause we proving Egypt black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. Judah, you next with the Torah Knights. Sissy boys tugging on each other's pipes. Nah, that's not it. How you black power chilling with a Chinese chick? Ran out of Cleveland by gangsters, man. Next thing you know, we popped up in Japan. Thinking that he's strong, trying to flex all night. Buy the right size shirt, boy, your chest look tight. Took an L trying to battle me in a debate. That's probably the reason why I left the States. Or could you be embarrassed about chasing Dookie when the demon whispered to you, give me some boy coochie? Lightning might strike this song because you and White Maggie watching boy porn. He'll deny it like a couple years ago. Hey yo, Yara, you still got that video? They mad cause we proving Egypt black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. You'll come back, only in a rerun. Yo, don't be dissing Saber Reggie. Don't be dissing Daniel Heru or Smash Rockwell. That's the rap god, silly. That's stupid. That's the rap god. Oh.
ETE Emetep Seni Senet Ankwastijed Anku Jaseneb. Dua Henu for listening, and thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to give a quick presentation, just an opening to how we know who's who in Egypt, usually how they got there and what have you. We've discussed this before. Shortly, I'll be moving to our Persians and our Ptolemaics. I just heard a conversation on my brother's channel, the Carnivorous Podcast, and I had to hop in it because some of this information is quite whack. So, as you know, we have to do our due diligence and shut it down. When they're wrong, we shut them down like a Public Enemy record. So, today we're going to get into some things that we know, and we're going to cover some DNA points because a lot of people try to talk the DNA, but they don't quite hit it. We're going to talk pottery and people and cemeteries today so that we can make this clear as possible in a short amount of time. I don't want you to have to spend hours upon hours guessing and looking like, oh my goodness, how do we know what's going on there? But do they know what's going on? So we're gonna get to all of that today for you, um, or a good portion of it. What I want you to do first, let's start here. Go pull up the article. This way you can read it with me. This is Nature, www.nature.com, right? Ancient DNA from the Green Sahara reveals ancestral North African lineage. That's where we want to start. That's where we want to begin it at. Because there's some things that they're just going to tell you right from the door. And these are good reads. This is the stuff you should be looking at. Not listening to some of these YouTubers that are kind of off their rocker and don't know what they're talking about in most cases. But let's begin. Ancient DNA from the Green Sahara reveals ancestral North African lineage. That's very important because everybody says North Africa this, but then they start to try to make North Africa Middle Eastern Africa. Middle East comes later. But if we're talking about the ancient Egyptians and their dynastic period, meaning the family periods from about the Zero Dynasty, which is the pre Egypt, hailing from the Nakada and all that down there, where we get into the cave art and what have you, pre dynastic um uh when they paint the picture on the wall and what have you, I can't even think right now. When they paint the pictures of themselves on the walls and they show themselves doing certain things, stellas, right? Pre stella, you have them doing some of the same things that they do once they start to build city foundations, when they start to build what they call septots. So we pretty much know the story is painted pretty clear. They start in the south of Africa, Sudanish, little bit further down, and they migrate north. They migrate down north and start to create a locality called Egypt. This is after they've created Nubia. Now, a lot of people, we don't usually use those terms in particular. We say Nehesi and what have you. But right now, we have to just kind of keep this simple. Because when you get too in depth, you start to lose the people. I start to say Nehesi, then you got to describe which Nehesi you're talking about. Well, where is he from? Is he from Wawa Wet? Is he from Ta Seti? Is he from Kim? Is he from, you know what I'm saying? So let's keep it simple today. Nubia. The migration begins. Egypt's first city-state is called Ta Seti. Ta Seti. You usually know that to be the name of Nubia. They say it means land of the bow, but really, when you dissect it, it's land of Seti, because he was a revered deity early on. He was a revered deity early on. And the word for bow and arrow is not Seti in the Medu Neter language, which is ancient Egyptian. So let's look at some North African lineage, because we believe it comes from the south and moves its way north. Then you get some correspondence with people in the Levant. What wasn't the Middle East before, used to be like Syria and stuff, starts to migrate towards this area. And it's actually after Africans migrate out of Africa, after Egyptians and Nubians migrate out of Africa, those cultures start to come back into Africa with them. Let's get into the lineage first, though. Let's talk about it. So here, although it is one of the most arid regions today, the Sahara Desert was a green savanna during the African humid period between 14,500 and 5,000 years before the present day, with water bodies promoting human occupation and the spread of pastoralism in the middle Holocene epoch. So You've got farmers, you got black farmers out there with cattle, different animals. They're pastoralists. DNA rarely preserves well in this region, limiting knowledge of the Sahara's genetic history and demographic past. And this is why they can get away with saying some of the stuff that they say, because it's hard to get the DNA in locations and localities of this nature. Here we report the ancient genomic data from the Central Sahara obtained from two approximately 7,000-year-old pastoral Neolithic female individuals buried in the Takar Kori rock shelter in southwestern Libya. So they're starting in Libya. The majority of the Takar individuals' ancestry stems from a previously unknown North African genetic lineage that diverged from who? South Saharan Africans, Sub-Saharan Africans. So we're starting in Libya. This brings us to that Amos Kamo Stela when they start naming the different Nehesi that are in the Libyan localities. So there's a bunch of different Nubians in Libya, in the cities, which we've discussed before. But right here it tells you this North African genetic lineage diverged from sub-Saharan African lineages around the same time as present-day humans outside Africa and remained isolated throughout most of its existence. So if somebody tells you that the ancient Egyptians are not sub-Saharan African or not South Saharan African is the proper term, it's over. They're lying. They're lying. And we know this because the first one, 7,000-year-old pastoral Neolithic female, you got to use their hair usually to get their DNA because they're the ones that carry the markers. The lineage was all the way in Libya. Let's look at some ancient Libyan people real fast. Tibu people. There they go. The Tubu or Tubu Old Tibu, meaning rock people, are an ethnic group native to the Tibetsi Mountains in the inhabited the Central Sahara in northern Chad, southern Libya, northeastern Niger, and northwestern Sudan. So when they tell you stupid stuff like ancient Egyptians never dealt with the West, when you've got Chad right here, when you've got northeastern Niger Congo, look, it'll pull it up for you. See where that's at? You see that? Everybody knows where Libya's at. So when they make these stupid arguments, it's so easy to destroy them. We're just going to walk through the process. I'm going to give you an easy process. Because usually you hear, I got to go really in depth and break stuff down. Who's in this locality, by the way? Usually who? Chad. Hold up, it said it is unitary state bordered by Libya to the northeast, Chad to the east, Nigeria to the south, Benin and Burkina Faso to the southwest, Mali to the west, and Algeria to the northwest. The Tubu as it's spelled, Tibu is how it's pronounced, inhabited this locality. And this is your early Libyan. This is your early Libyan. Let's look at the Libyan and see. There they go. This is a woman from Goran. There they go. This is the ones in Chad. Here, you want a closer look? Huh? Don't let anyone pull the wool over your eyes. You want a closer look? The rock art, folks. Look, you see this area right here? Here go Egypt. Here go Sudan. And they're up here. So this is our original Libyans. This is their areas now. And where they used to be as well. Tibetsi Mountains, Libya, overlapping Egypt. Do you see it? I want this to be crystal clear for y'all today. I'm going to check the chat in a second. Egyptian. See how they took the liberty to put Anglo-Egyptian way down here in the South? See how the Red Sea, which used to be the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, which used to be the Black Sea too? You understand? I want you to get an idea of what you're looking at when they start talking about this stuff. This is the Sudan. You know most of this is Nahesi. How can it be Anglo-Egyptian? Terrible. But anyway, so you have that here. You know the Tibu are here in this region. You see the Tibu. You see them. Yeah. 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 So we have to make some things clear, honey. Doing the show. You off early? Hold on, y'all. No, I'll call you in just a few. You got something important? I don't know yet because my clock's not up, so they haven't sent anything yet. But I'll be there at 3:30. All right. Holler at me. Mwah, mwah. You see them. These are the Tibu. And she's from Goran in particular. So we shouldn't have any, we shouldn't be lost. We shouldn't be lost. Let's get back to the paper. It's better we work this way, right? It's better we work so you can see what's going on immediately. And let me take a look at the chat real quick. Let me see what's going on in my let's see. Chat's cool. All right, cool. Let's go. The majority Takakori individuals' ancestry stems from a previously unknown North African genetic lineage that diverged from sub-Saharan African lineages around the same time as present-day humans outside Africa and remained isolated throughout most of its existence. So if that strand remained isolated for most of its existence, what do you think the ancient Egyptians looked like? In your mind, paint the picture. Now, both Takakori individuals are closely related to ancestry first documented in 15,000-year-old foragers from Tafarat Cave in Morocco. So what do you think early Moroccans looked like? This is why I always pull up the African rock art. Let's go to the African rock art because we need to see these people in real time, right? African rock art. Morocco. Let's go to Morocco. That's what we're talking about, right? Let's go to the early African Moroccan cave drawings. Let me See, we need some people on here. We got some rhinos. We got some. What do we got? Oh, there they go. Is that the Moroccan? Yeah. Yeah. Let me make sure we get that right. We got to get that African Moroccan rock art. They stabbing, they arresting cats, so they got their hands up, right? Let's make sure we get the right rock art, though. We can't just grab any. See, this say Bushman rock art and all that. So let's go. We need to grab. This is how you do this. This is how you grab it. I could go to the site, but I want you to grab it up. Let's go. Morocco, right there. You see them with their bows? You see these people? This is that ancient rock art. This is Bushman rock art down here. See, some of them are probably Moroccan, but we can't use that because we don't know. This is rock art from Chad that got vandalized. Oop. That's ancient Moroccans. If you click that button, you see what they looking like. But I just want y'all to see some of the rock art, right? You see that? Make sure you make notes of these things like this. Because this is what's going to tell you your story. That's Aboriginal. See, we just can't grab any rock art. Klein Carew. We can go to hers, but I'm not. I just want to keep it simple. Just keep it simple. So you can see. You can see what the people look like. There's a rhino. Okay. This is them now. That's not them then. You seen what it looked like. So yeah, this is always important to go to the rock art site. And this isn't the rock art site, but I've shown that to you guys before. I just want you to see, to get a feel. That's them. They're showing themselves, so you don't have to guess. Right? If I start going over here and stuff, see, we can't do that. That's Australia. That's Aboriginal rock art. That's Bimbia. Can't just grab any rock art. But there it is right there. And you see what they look like. Let's go further. Let's go back to our paper. Because we got to break this stuff down. Remember, they're isolated for 15,000 years. That's important to know. So, foragers from Tafaral Cave in Morocco, associated with the Iber-Marusian lithic industry and predating the AHP, African human period, the Takakori and the Iber-Marusian associated individuals are equally distantly related to sub-Saharan lineages, suggesting limited gene flow from sub-Saharan to northern Africa during the AHP, in contrast to Tafaral individuals who have half the Neanderthal admixture of non-Africans. So all those newbies that's in there now, partially Neanderthal. But all those old ones during this rock art, during Egypt, during the pre-dynastic period, sub-Saharan lineages. Northern Africa
during the AHP, in contrast to Tafarol individuals who have the Neanderthal admixture of non-Africans. Takakori shows 10 times less, look, 10 times less Neanderthal ancestry than Levantine farmers. So what are they talking about with this? They're white there. What are they doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yet significantly more than contemporary sub-Saharan genomes. You understand? Our findings suggest that the pastoralism spread through cultural diffusion into a deeply divergent, isolated North African lineage that had probably been widespread in northern Africa during the late Pleistocene, or I can't even say that word, Pleistocene epoch. Why? Now you see, you see clearly the picture painted, right? 15,000 years, you've seen the people that would have been near, and they were isolated from other people. This is simple. This is simple. Simple. We'll come back to this paper. Right now, we're going to skip over to this one. Ancient Egyptian mummy genome suggests an increase of sub-Saharan African ancestry in post-Roman periods. So now we're far removed from ancient Egypt. We're going into the Roman periods, and we're still finding what? Sub-Saharan African ancestry. So I just had a discussion with a gentleman that was telling me Natufian, probably Bayesian, Eurasian. They're probably, now you see there's a mixture of what did this is the experts here, not the YouTuber. What did it just tell you? It didn't tell you anything about what he was talking about, did it? Did it? And it's so funny. They don't listen. And they're so far removed from being black, they'll say anything to get away from it. Now, Egypt, located on the Isthmus of Africa, is an ideal region to study historical population dynamics due to its geographic location and documented interactions with ancient civilizations in Africa, Asia, and Europe, particularly in the first millennium BCE Egypt. So first millennium is a long way from the dynastic period, isn't it? Particularly in the first BC, Egypt endured foreign domination, leading to growing numbers of foreigners living within its borders, possibly contributing genetically to the local population. So now we're getting the foreigners in, and we're talking first millennium BC, 1 BCE. Here we present 90 mitochondrial genomes as well as a genome-wide data sets from 3 individuals obtained from Egyptian mummies. So now we got some genomes from mummies, 90% from 1 BCE, the Roman period. You understand that we're in the Roman period and we're looking at mummies, to make it simple. The samples recovered from Middle Egypt spanned around 1,300 years of ancient Egyptian history, from the New Kingdom to the Roman period. Now, somebody on another show just tried to lie and say it was from the Middle Kingdom. I had to correct them, and he quickly said, "Oh, no, from the New Kingdom is what I'm saying." Our analysis revealed that ancient Egyptians shared more ancestry with Near Easterners than present-day Egyptians, who received additional sub-Saharan admixture in more recent times. This analysis establishes ancient Egyptian mummies as a genetic source to study ancient human history and offers the perspective of deciphering Egypt's past at a genome-wide level. So now you're looking at three individuals from a Roman period, and you're seeing that they're more Arab. But current Egyptians show sub-Saharan DNA. Right here, our analysis revealed that ancient Egyptians shared more ancestry, the ancients, with Near Easterners. So it's showing the mix in this Roman locality than present day Egyptians who received additional sub-Saharan admixture. So they're in a Roman location looking at Roman Egyptians at 1 BCE. Clearly not the dynastic period anymore. Capiche? Capiche? So these are the parts that people mess up. This is when they mess it up. And this is why we have to go and look at the information that they looked at. Because when you mess it up that bad, we got to dig, Doug. We got to look at your article. We got to call you a liar or something crazy. We don't even want to call you a liar. We say, you misspoke. You misinformation there, bud. This is 1 BCE, this article. This article is from the ancients. Okay? Ancient DNA data from northwestern Africa points to a stable and isolated genetic population from at least 15,000 to 7,500 years ago. So you can't run from these at all. At all. And that's important. Look at the area they're talking about. So when we tell you things like they moved from here to here, they must have gone through Chad, and we find these wells that would connect that information, and we see from second rod people of that nature who carry people from here down below to way over here, that there's a mixture of North and Eastern African blood and Western African blood and Central African blood, and this outside mixture was isolated. It didn't come until later. It doesn't come in until later. Capiche? Capiche? So we really have to harp on these things. Let's go further. Here we present first genome-wide data obtained from the same two approximately 7,000-year-old Saharan herders recovered from the Takar Kori rock shelter in the Central Sahara, a site that has yielded an exceptional wealth of data and material remains. Our findings show that these individuals predominantly carry a previously unknown ancestral North African lineage that lacks the Neanderthal admixture. Pause. Pause. What did your findings show? Our findings show that these individuals predominantly carry a previously unknown ancestral North African lineage that lacks the Neanderthal admixture, typically found where? Outside Africa. Where? Outside Africa. One more time for the people. Found outside Africa, and appears to have remained largely isolated with the notable exception of small traces of Levantine admixture. So it told you right there, it doesn't have the Neanderthal admixture in it. It's straight up and down African. and it only has small traces of Levantine admixture. Small, little to none, very itsy bitsy, not much at all. Okay, these results support that pastoralism in the Sahara was established through cultural diffusion rather than significant human gene flow. So you keep hearing these guys talk about human gene flow. This is just cultural diffusion. It's cultural diffusion. Furthermore, the Takakori individuals exhibit a close genetic affinity to northwestern African foragers, but no substantial ties with sub-Saharan African lineages, implying no detectable genetic exchange across the Green Saharan during the age P from sub-Saharan to northern Africa. So here we see that there is no sub-Saharan to North African tie-in. Some of these are no North African to sub-Saharan tie-in, right? These up here that are non-related to this Neanderthal, Central Saharan. These down here, no tie-in. They didn't find any tie-ins with the Southern Saharans. So we can be fine with that. For a non-peer-reviewed Arabic summary of the article, you can see note 3. So you don't see a North African to sub-Saharan mix. The sub-Saharaners, or the Southern Africaners, as we should say, were there. Right here. And they were isolated for a long time. So they didn't see that Arab mixture in them. There's no mix. There's no mix. So let's go down a little further. Where is it at? You can start to see the East African pastoralists, the Moroccan pastoralists, East African foreigners, Central African, West African. You see these? Up here, Moroccan, Near Eastern, Moroccan. You start to get the little mix, a little mix. But most of this down here, East African pastoralists, you don't see the mix. Right here, you don't see the mix. Right here, you don't see the mix. Southern Europe and the geographical locations of these individuals. You don't see the mix. And you know where they're from. They told you. You know what they look like. We can still see that. Look at that. Ancient DNA from Green Sahara reveals ancestral North African lineage. So you can see the march up. There goes the diamond right there. Morocco way over there, all that. It's the cave right here. And they were sub-Saharan, as they said, way over here. Up here is your outside lineages. Of course, they traveled outside of Africa. You can see the out of Africa theory. You can see blip, blip, and then they started coming over here. And we don't even need a fake map to say, no, they only went out here, because we know they had exchanges in these areas and wars. We've got documentation for that. Because over here is Jerusalem. Here goes Israel, which used to be Syria, which used to be Heliopolis when Egypt dominated it. We got cylinder seals with ankhs from Hezekiah and others. We know they're here. Here goes Tyre right in here.
We know about the Punic Wars. We know about when they're over here in Greece and all this, Italy and all this stuff, don't we? So you can't be fooled by the silliness, man. You can't let the people fool you with the silliness. Ancient DNA from the Green Sahara reveals ancestral North African lineage. Go through the paper. Don't let guys hop on there and start pretending. Don't let them pretend. It's genetically closer to Zlati than to sub-Saharan Africans, including Mata, 4 or 5,000 old genome from East Africa. Nevertheless, various African populations with substantial 00A admixture were still genetically closer, blah, 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 blah. Go through there. Get into the nooks and crannies of it. And this is when they're talking about the non-Africans right here in the spot. So there's no look, and there, from a chimpanzee, Why? Because you have Neanderthal DNA. Chimpanzee, Zalatikun, African, Takakori. 45,000-year-old Upper Paleolithic individual from Zekia was used as a proxy. Our results show positive values for Takakori, indicating that it is genetically closer to Zalatikun than to sub-Saharan Africans. So the chimpanzee Zalatikun mix is showing chimpanzee stuff. And this is from the 4,500-year-old genome from East Africa. When you start to get other cultures coming in, not from the 15 to 7,000. So you start to see who has the Neanderthal blood and who doesn't. Takakori indicating that it's genetically closer to Zlatikun than to sub-Saharan Africans. So no chimpanzee in the Southern African. None of that in there. See, it goes into the Neanderthal ancestry and the admixture graph. And when they start to come in, there's a difference. There's a difference. What a difference. Read the article. All right, let's move on. This one here. Where's it at? This is all up in Cairo and stuff. Let's get into Cairo and stuff. Let me check the chat real quick. Let me see what's up. What are we doing? Upcoming stuff. Let me check the chat real quick. Malcolm in the building. Solomonic proof evidence in the building. Easy work. Easy work right now, fellas. Let me see what else we want to touch on. There was something in here that was very decisive on the ancients. Very decisive statement. It's telling you where they went to. Remember, I told him it was a Ptolemaic site. Now you see the 90 mitochondrial genomes fulfilling our criteria contamination were grouped into 3 temporal categories based on their radiocarbon dates corresponding to pre-Ptolemaic periods and the Ptolemaic period and the Roman period. So we're way removed from the Egyptian dynastic era. And we're still getting South Saharan enclaves. It says to test for genetic differentiation and homogeneity, we compared haplogroup composition calculated statistics and applied the test for the population continuity. On mitochondrial genome data from the three ancient and two modern day populations from Egypt and Ethiopia, published by Pagani and colleagues, including 100 modern Egyptians and 125 modern Ethiopian samples, we furthermore included data from El Hayas Oasis, published by Kujanova and colleagues. So remember, this is a Roman area. It's the Roman area. This is our second article here. We observe highly similar haplogroup profiles between the three ancient groups. Supported by this, that, the other, modern Egyptians share this profile, but in addition show a marked increase of African mtDNA lineages. Up to 20% consists with nuclear estimates of 80% non-African ancestry reported in Pagani, but they show 20% more. Genetic continuity between ancient and modern Egyptians cannot be ruled out by the formal test, despite this sub-Saharan influx. So Pagani, you messed it up. The new tests show more sub-Saharan influx, while continuity with modern Ethiopians, who carry 60% African L lineages, is not supported. So modern Egyptians don't show Ethiopian lineage, but they show some more sub-Saharan African lineage, just not Ethiopians. Ethiopians have a different type of DNA, and I suspect it would be more southern DNA. Well, it would it's a good question on how they group the Ethiopian blood. But to further test the genetic affinities and shared ancestry with modern day African and West Eurasian populations, we performed a principal component based on haplogroup frequencies and multidimensional scaling of pairwise genetic distances. We find that all three ancient Egyptian groups clustered together, supporting genetic continuity across our 1300-year transect. Both analyses reveal higher affinities with modern populations from the Near East and the Levant compared to modern Egyptians. The affinity to the Middle East finds further supported by the Y chromosome haplogroups of the three individuals for which genome-wide data was obtained, two of which could be assigned to the Middle Eastern haplogroup J, and one to the haplogroup E1B1B1, common in North Africa. However, comparative data, let me pull this up, from a contemporary population under Roman rule in Asia Minor, from the Roman city Aglasun, today in Turkey, did not reveal a closer relationship to the ancient Egyptians from the Roman period. Now, the guy was on there talking about Turkey. You think they're Turkish. They probably look Turkish, but dark skin. But let's read it for him. However, comparative data from a contemporary population under Roman rule in Asia Minor, from the Roman city Aglasun, today in Turkey, did not reveal a closer relationship to the ancient Egyptians from the Roman period. This is why I say you can't listen to the Johnny come lately because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. He tried to deny the Ptolemaic claim when I stated it on Sheffrin's show immediately. I think he was called Astro Boy, right? You don't want this trouble, Astro Boy, because this is the 2017 report that you pointed out. And I'm telling you, ancient Egyptian mummy genome suggests an increase of sub-Saharan African ancestry in the post-Roman periods. In 1 BCE, you're still getting a lot of sub-Saharan African ancestry.
So don't let them mess it all up. Let's go a little further. Question of race in ancient Egypt. This is on UCL. A disputed terrain, the human catastrophe of early modern slavery juxtaposed West and Central Africans with Northwest Europeans in the Americas. Out of this genocidal experience, race has become a dominant category for uniting and dividing people in modernity. Within the race debate, ancient Egypt has become a terrain contested by three mutually exclusive views. Modern Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians are the same group of people as the modern Egyptians. This is what they say. We're the Afrocentric, of course. The ancient Egyptians were black Africans, and the DNA just told us, yeah, displaced by later movements of peoples, for example, the Macedonian, Roman, and Arab conquest. And the DNA just showed us that. Eurocentric, they say the ancient Egyptians are ancestral to modern Europe. Goodness, goodness, goodness. So you see what you're dealing with. Here's Sinroset, who they pull up, who we've already covered, went from East to West Africa on occasion. Here goes our Hikakasu, right? Here goes our Hikaka. This is 12th dynasty, Levantine origin. So here's our Semitics coming into Egypt, right? This is them. This is a foreigner. Here they go on a wall. Let's blow it up a little bit. You've seen this picture probably, you don't know how many times now. You've seen it. You're like, again. Well, let's blow it up. This is them. This is the Hikakasu. This is the Amu people in particular, coming from the Levantine area. You see them? Here goes the Egyptian in front of him. You can see. So here's the name, Hik. Right here. This is the guy coming in. Here goes his name here. Amu. And there goes the people. And this is how many of them came in. Amu. And there goes the head of one. And you can see how many. There's more numbers behind that. 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 37. Here goes another Egyptian here. We don't have to guess. This is Sesh Neferhetep. Neferhetep. That's the brother. Here's the other brother. You see how dark his legs are? You see how dark his legs? So when it starts to fade and get this reddish color, you understand? This is not rocket science. Chenu. And it's telling you what they see. Look at that hair. Look at that hair. See the difference? You see the nose? Look at the nose. This is them standing next to each other. Do we need to guess? Do we need to guess? They go to kiddos. It's another kiddo carrying a donkey. Hey, fellas. Hey, y'all coming through? Come on through. But this is the foreigner here. And these are the Egyptians here. So we shouldn't have that confused at any time. Shouldn't have that confused. And this right here, I believe, reads what's up here. But I'd have to look at it. We'd have to blow it up and all that, right?
So this is them. This shouldn't be that confusing. What do we want to see? We want to look at, here's Gunther Dacker. This is the old school DNA test. This is the one. DNA and you guys should have this. You should read this. DNA studies ancient Egyptian mummies show more affinities to Africans than others. And modern Egyptians are not identical to the ancients, but cluster with Middle Easterners, reflecting admixture with foreigners such as Arabs. Right? And we read pretty much that today, except for the new study showed a little more sub-Saharan African and some of the modern Egyptians as well. 20% more we saw. Crania of widely used late period data sets show foreign influence and are not typical Egyptian series. So let's look. Thuya and Yuya and Amenhotep. And these mummies in KV55, KV35YL, KV35EL, and King Tut show more affinity to South Africans, to African Great Lakes, to tropical West Africans, to Horn of African Sahelians. Here goes your Levantine, 0.40, the Aegean, 0.12, the Arabian, 0.12, Northwest European, 0.21, Mediterranean, 0.08. But they keep screaming Mediterranean when you've only got a 4.89% average with most of the mummies. What are you talking about? They don't understand DNA. They don't know what they're reading. Look at that. Late period data sets reflecting foreign influence are not typically Egyptian. Did we go over this part of the note yet? This is the big part because they keep running over here to these late periods and it says late period data sets reflecting foreign influence, such as this when you go to a Roman period cemetery. This is the Africa. When you go to a Roman period cemetery, what I do? Get rid of it? No, it's over here. Ancient Egyptian mummy genomes suggest an increase of sub-Saharan African ancestry in post-Roman, that's after the Roman periods. So this is late in the game. This one here. Ancient DNA from the Green Sahara reveals ancestral North African lineages. Why? Because they went 15,000 to 7,000 years old in time, 14,500 and 5,000 years before present. The African Humid Period, the AHP. So you're going to get a lot of African. When you go post-African, when you got foreigners in there, you get what? Roman periods. You still get some sub-Saharan African ancestry, but not as much. Not as much. Why? Because you're in a time when foreigners are there as opposed to the time when the dynastic periods reigned. And so we go back here and the note tells you late period data sets reflecting foreign influence are not typically Egyptian. Most dramatically, the results also indicate that the Egyptian series from Howell's global data set are morphologically distinct from the pre-dynastic and early dynastic Nile Valley samples. Pause.
Pause. Especially in cranial vault shape and height. So now we know that the cranial thing is a myth. We can probably go over some of these and recant, which they have already, but I'm just giving you that information. And thus show that this sample cannot be considered to be a typical Egyptian series, Zakhareski S. 2004, Intrapopulation and Temporal Variation in Ancient Egyptian Crania. So, modern Egyptian samples show affinities with Middle Eastern groups like Arabs, indicating that the moderns are not like some ancients who cluster more with Africans in other analysis. Scholars have long noted more African body plan for the ancients, confirming DNA data. Many of those who have studied ancient Egyptians have commented on their characteristically tropical or African body plan. Warren, that was 1897, and Masali in 1972, and it kept going. Robbins, 1983, Robbins and Shute, 83, 84, and 86. Zarzeweski in 2003, and now you got the one in 2017, and then you got the one where we just showed you from that they pulled from Roman and Ptolemaic eras, and we got this quote right over here that tells you late period data sets are not Egyptian. Don't even bring them over. Don't bring them over here. We know you're full of it. We know you went to the Ptolemaic hole and pulled some bodies up and said, oh, see, he's an ancient Egyptian. No, he's ancient. He's a European and he's in Egypt. He's not one of the locals. Stop it. Stop it. Egyptians also fall within the range of modern African populations. Done. But close to the upper limit of modern European as well, at least for the Curio Index. Brachial indices are definitely more African. Raxter et al. In 2008, stature estimation in ancient Egyptians, AJPA 136, and the 2 is there sometimes as well. You know what it is. It's a wrap. Stop playing. Here, for the cranial studies, since they all want to go on cranial studies, oh, the head looks like a European. Cranial studies. Overall, when the Egyptian crania are evaluated in the Near Eastern Lakish versus Africa, Kerma, Kabel, Moya, and Ashanti context, the affinity is with the Africans. This is our brother Keita, his studies of ancient crania in 1993. And that hasn't changed much since he did it. This STR shows African ancestry. Geographically, analysis suggests ancestral links with neighboring populations in Africa for the studied pharaonic mummy. It's done. It's done. So don't let nobody dupe you with no craziness, man. You understand? Yes. Still try to use that Schumann shape. Now, you don't really want to hate on Schumann too much, but let them use it. Because when you use that clash, it's easy for us to pick you apart. It tells us where you're at in your studies, right? And so let me stop sharing. This is laid down flat. Proof evidence, I got you. I just been driving, man. It's been busy for me. I had to take a break. You see, this is not even my normal presentation. Usually I'm live, I'm on point, it's fly in here, all that stuff. And they might try to block if I bring something out that really they didn't want known. But this should be as simple as it gets when it comes to understanding
ancient Kemet. And the people who were there early on. So when you go over here and you see one of these YouTube dudes, no, see, they did it. And then I pull up here's your study right here. If I pull up your study and your study calls you a liar and then you start changing what you're saying in front of everybody, it should be very clear. Let a house Negro do what he's going to do concerning, because there's a few over there on that channel. But you shouldn't have that issue. You should know. Because if you're over here, you can remember who you are and be in a SAR and get it right every single time. There shouldn't be any fallback with the information once you're here. Once you're here, you should be locked and loaded. And this is a poor presentation on my behalf because y'all know I get busy. But just for the record, and just because I heard Lex and Judah Nats diss me, on a record, it's only right that I well, before we even do that, remember, African descendant Americans, the ADA, we in the building. We know we from Africa. You could say African American, but we got to remind some of y'all African descendant Americans, so you don't say ADOS. There are some Indian mixtures, but remember your African portion came from Africa. You understand what I'm saying? Remember who you are and be an Asar. Hello. Easy work. And let's what do we want to do right now? What's on the menu? Where is it at? Let's go here. Let's go. We want the sound. We want to jam a little bit. Let's hit that. Let's share it. Let's where we want to go here. Because we're done with the presentation is over, man. When you see that, it's over. When you see that, it's over. It's over. Because we know what it is after that. You should already know. If you can read the Metal Netcher, you know when we see that, it's over. And I got to get some rest before I go take this truck. Shout out to Alexis, Lex Vortex, and shout out to Judah Natsara. I heard y'all diss me on the record. Holla back.
Asar M. Ka. Every bar.
I'ma tap y'all.
They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. When the suckers gather round, it's about that time. Lil Lex trying to flex, you done lost your mind. Heard Judah was a shooter in them Cleveland streets. Boy, better beat your feet. Let's get it first, you got dirty works. Caught in a scam trying to cheat the church. That preacher tried to kill him, it's a well-known fact. That's when he started saying, Kemet is black. Next thing you know, he popped up in Atlanta with a homeless dude trying to give him banana. Shocked to us all, you was caught on live. He said, it had to hurt your pride. Right afterwards, you tried to diss the elder. Yeah, the incident with Sinetta. Your lawsuit didn't go according to plan. Then you tried to get him with an internet ban. Heard Rob Bourne slammed you and then you ran. No wonder Lex doesn't have a leg to stand on. They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kemet to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. Judah, you next with the Torah Knights. Sissy boys tugging on each other's pipes. Nah, that's not it. How you black power chilling with a Chinese chick? Ran out of Cleveland by gangsters, man. Next thing you know, we popped up in Japan. Thinking that he's strong, trying to flex all night. By the right side shirt, boy, your chest look tight. Took an L trying to battle me in a debate. That's probably the reason why he left the States. Or could you be embarrassed about chasing Dookie when the demon whispered to you, "Give me some boy coochie"? Lightning might strike this song because you and White Nagy watching boy porn. He'll deny it like a couple years ago. Hey yo, Yara, you still got that video? They mad cause we proving each other black. Now it's time for the Kimber to strike back. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. Now it's time for the Kimber to strike back. Heard your information in this way. Watch your sovereign car refute that. Judah and Lex, you ain't like that. After this message, we'll be right back. You'll come back, only in a rerun. Yo, don't be dissing Saber Reggie. Don't be dissing Daniel Heru or Smash Rockwell. That's the rap god, silly. That's stupid. That's the rap god. Oh.